These times are strange, it's quite surreal. It's never been like this. Remember in the good old days when we could hug and kiss. We'd pack the gyms and restaurants and move through public settings. We'd give high fives and drink at dives, hold hands and dance at weddings. Now the days are longer, yet they're darker in a way. We're pressing pause on normalcy, just going day by day. But we can still make jokes and art, garden, dance and sing, cook, read books, try on fun looks and learn about new things. We can talk with friends of ours and have a heart to heart, just so long as we'll stay 6 feet apart, 6 feet apart. It's the newest thing to do. Stay 6 feet apart, 6 feet apart. The distance between me and you, 6 feet apart, 6 feet apart. And when I say I'll keep you very close to my heart, it's purely metaphorical. These times are quite historical, so step aside, let's live our lives 6 feet apart.
Hello, good evening. Thank you. Welcome to 6 Feet Apart presents Drag Queen's Dish. This is going to be a rockin' event. I'm so glad you took time out of your Pride celebration to come to this Pride celebration. My name's Regina Stoops. I'm one of the co-producers here at 6 Feet Apart Productions. My other producer, Claire Hennessy, has absconded to England where it's cooler apparently. She'll be back for our next show. So thrilled to be here, and I'm thrilled we have our backstage audience. We want to show our backstage audience. Yay, big hello to them. There they are. Yay, backstage audience. Along with our performers, that's what you get when you get a backstage pass at 6 Feet Apart Productions. We also have our YouTube audience. We don't want to forget about them. We're thrilled to have you here too, YouTube. Hello, hello. Be sure to write something in the comments, the chats. Let us know where you're at. The show is going to be fantastic, everybody. This is going to be wonderful. I'm thrilled to be here. It's Pride. It's Pride Month, of course. That's pretty obvious. And you know, I go back a long way with this whole Pride thing, and I love Pride. I really do. I love to celebrate it. But I have to say, by the time it gets to be the end of June, I mean, day 30, I'm exhausted with the Pride, and I'm just looking forward to July 1st when I can go back to being ashamed and embarrassed, because it is a lot of effort. It is just a lot of effort holding up the flag that whole time. But it doesn't feel as rebellious because we have our own Pride section at Party City. That is where I bought all of these props today, right between the Minions and like the Batman birthday decorations. And there was a clown in the Pride section. And I was a little offended by that because it had a rainbow wig. And I'm, not every clown is gay and not every gay person is a clown. So I think that's just wrong. Not every rainbow is gay. So I think people at Party City just got to get it together a little bit more. So I'm a suburban housewife with a wife with 3 kids, and it's interesting to be gay soccer mom in the suburbs. It's actually been very smooth. In fact, I think the other moms, I think they're just jealous because I explained the family dynamic. It's like there's 2 moms, 2 dads. Every other weekend, the 3 boys go to their dads. And a couple times a year, we get to take a week off without our kids and, go to Hawaii. Who wants to be gay now, ladies? And speaking of ladies, the ladies are going to bring it tonight. And I am just going to step out of the way and let them do their thing. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce your MC. And this guy is great. He has been, I don't know, this is like his 42nd show just today. He's very busy during Pride. And he's a comedian, a storyteller, a rare time actor, apparently. His television appearances include Netflix, and Oxygen's My Crazy Love, and National Geographic's Brain Game. So that's a wide range. It's just a wide range. You may have heard him on some podcasts where he likes to overshare. And in 2017, he was named one of Time Out New York's Queer Comics of Color to Watch. And he rocks a satin robe like nobody's business. So I want to just hand it over to our fabulous MC, Calvin S. Cato.
Oh my goodness, me? I didn't even know I was nominated. Stop it. Oh my gosh. Yes, I am Calvin S. Cato. I am the replacement Claire Hennessy. You could say I'm Claire the Brixton version. Mr. Cato, if you're nasty, it's fine. First of all, very happy Pride. Give yourselves a round of applause emojis. Happy Pride. Very, very amazing. Also, happy Juneteenth as well. Like, let's be very, very huge round of applause for that. I'm glad that that finally passed. So it's like, for me, it's a perfect, like, gay rights. We're acknowledging that slavery happened. Like, I'm just living my best life. Like, this is like reparations all day, every day for me right now. Lovely, wonderful, amazing. I apologize for this is the best drag I had. It was either this or I had a very clown red wig, and no one wanted to see a very, very sad looking version of Typhoid Mary. So I was like, we're going to go with this very basic, clearly RuPaul fired Matthew Anderson beat is what's going on here. I can gab all day, but I am not going to. I'm a working girl just like Melanie Griffith, and I'm here to bring up some other very, very fantabulous working girls. We're going to tell some really, really amazing stories for you guys tonight. So without further ado, we're going to bring up our first storyteller, who is super amazing. First of all, this storyteller onboards and acclimates new members to Drag Queen Story Hour on a national and international scale. And this performer was the first drag queen to do Drag Queen Story Hour in New York City. So super awesome. And if you are not familiar with Drag Queen Story Hour, you're going to learn a lot more about it right now. This performer also performs all over the country, travels nationally and internationally. So we are so lucky to have her here. I'm very sad you cannot see her legs because they are fabulous. I did check Instagram. She killing it. I see you, girl. So we're going to bring her to our virtual stage, and we're going to actually ask her a couple of questions right before we get to the storytelling. So are you guys ready? I know you are. Please, without further ado, let's welcome the goddess herself, Ona Louise.
Hello,
Why, hello
Calvin.
there.
I was like, who is he talking about? International, good legs, beautiful goddess, drag queen. I heard there was drag queens tonight, so I'm excited to see a live one. So, yeah.
Are you used to dead ones? I'm very concerned now.
Yeah, you know, just The Walking Dead, you know, at 3 a.m. That's all the drag queens, just like the zombie of just waiting for their Ubers, you know.
Oh, I know. As a fellow New York City performer, I've seen it. So, first question for you is, what inspired you to do drag? Like, what inspired you to get dressed up in drag for the first time? And for the first time in drag, how did it go?
Oh, first time in drag. I feel like I'm in a therapy session. Let's see how many years I need to go back to talk about when I threw on my mom's clothes. I guess, no, I mean, well, I mean, drag is different for everybody. But for me, it's an extension of myself that I get to explore and be creative and have fun with. And it releases a part of myself that I don't get to experience just as normal Jonathan. So when I'm my character, Ona Louise, I get to explore new sides of myself. And I have this sort of like super power, super armor thing. And I love it. I think I've been doing drag for 7-8 years now. You think my makeup would be better after almost a decade, but you know, like she's got the soft filter on the Zoom, so it is fine. It's fine.
Girl, look at me, okay? I got a whole slather of Vaseline on the lens. It's not good. I'm full on season 1 of Drag Race. Do you know what I mean? It's not good.
But that soft yellow filter, it's great.
Like, you remember that when the RuPaul was just like a weird calming smear on your television set?
I mean, I live for those days. I love those first 3 seasons. That is reality TV. For real, for real.
So, I wanted to ask you a little bit about Drag Queen Story Hour. Would you care to give us like just a 60-second overview for those of us out there on YouTube or Zoom who are not familiar with
my elevator pitch? So I guess Drag Queen Story Hour is exactly like it sounds. It's drag artists who read to kids in public schools and libraries and bookstores and basically anywhere in the world you can get kids and drag performers together. And we spread love and literacy and acceptance for all. And it was founded in San Francisco in 2015. And actually, we have the first drag queen who's ever read for Drag Queen Story Hour here tonight. So we'll be hearing from Persia later, but she was the first one ever. And then I helped found the New York chapter on the East Coast. So we've been very busy. This Pride, I feel like my face is gonna fall off with all the makeup and take it off, put it on. But you know, it's a fun time, and we love it, or I love it.
Nice. Okay, so I'm gonna go slightly off script with this final question.
Uh-oh.
So I assume you've been gigging for Pride right now. I'm curious, have you done any live Pride shows? And if so, how has that felt?
Oh gosh. I mean, actually, yes. So I did my first drag performance last Sunday. It was a bingo. I used to do it monthly for charity in Manhattan, and then we just started back. So it's, you know, drag is a contact sport. It's meant to be in person. You're meant to be up close and personal. You know, you got to see these legs, honey, in person. You got to make, that's how I make my coin, honey, is the in person. Virtual is great. We reach so many people doing story hour or just this. But there's nothing like drag in person. So I miss it. It felt amazing until, you know, hour 3 with the heels. Then it didn't feel so amazing after that, because it's been a while since I've worn shoes since the pandemic. So yeah.
Nice. I'm really glad to hear that, because it's so true. It just feels so much more amazing when you get that like active energy of the audience right there. So anyway, I have to stop talking, and without further ado, we're gonna have Ona Louise tell her story. Round of applause once again.
Round of applause. Okay, well, I'm used to reading books to children at 11 a.m. and not drunk adults at 10 p.m. So we'll see how this goes. And hopefully you'll like the story I wrote. I'm going to read it a little bit. But this is a very true story. And this is called Mother Knows Best. So as you may or may not know, Halloween is the one time of the year you can literally dress like anything and be free from societal shame. Cross-dressing included. Many drag queens are birthed on Halloween, and my Southern Baptist raised self was no exception. But I wasn't always Ona Louise. I actually went by a different name named Bridget Bishop. Bridget was the first woman to be burned at the stake for being accused of being a witch. But that was way too obscure, and I had to explain that every time I told my name to somebody. It wasn't really fun. But Bridget was dark. Bridget was moody. Bridget was goth. But the more I experimented with drag, the more I started pulling from what I knew. And what I knew was my mother. My mother was also raised Southern Baptist, and all the inconsistencies that come with that. Some call it Minnesota nice. I've coined it Baptist bitch. So the first time my mom visited me in New York City, she wanted to have a night on the town. She goes, "Take me wherever you go." I was like, "Okay, girl, like I go to gay bars, but what's the worst that could happen?" I was like, "Okay, let's go." So we get to This and That in Brooklyn via Subway, a gay bar. And my mom hears the 80s music pounding inside. She's overjoyed. She buys us shots. We hit the dance floor. I'm obviously not in drag, but my mother is in her full Southern regalia. So she has big hair, bigger tits, lots of makeup, and it was chilly that night. So naturally, she borrowed my floor-length fur coat. Normal stuff. So, you know, we're bopping away to Cyndi Lauper on the dance floor. This very smiley, eager stranger comes over to us and starts dancing with my mom and I. And he leans over and asks my mom a question, but, you know, she motions that she can't hear. And then he repeats it. She does a motion again. This happens 3 or 4 times. I step in to this, you know, gay hell that's going on. And he goes, "Oh, you know, I'm so sorry. I was just wondering when she was performing tonight." And I go, "Oh my God, this gay thinks my mom is a drag queen." a drag queen who's performing at this bar. I was like, I can't even get this gig, honey. And you think my mom is performing here? So I naturally think this is hilarious. So I go to tell my mom. She does not share the same sentiment as I do. So she starts crying on the dance floor. She's like, no, Southern women just look like this. We can't help it, which is literally the most draggiest thing I've ever heard in my entire life, like to this day. So, you know, I console my oh so oppressed mother and we leave the gay bar. So I decide to take her somewhere more topical. So we go to a street bar. We get carded. I fight through the bar. I spend $17 on drinks. I hand them over to my mom. And as soon as I give her the drink, she goes, this place is boring. I hate it here. Gays have more fun. And I'm thinking, yeah, I've known this for years. Good thing that you're on the same page as me. So I decide to conceal our cocktails under the fur coat and we leave and proceed out the door. So we're sipping our, you know, smuggled cocktails on an empty street. And my mom finally starts laughing at the fact that she was mistaken for a drag queen. So we're having a good laugh and just scrolling through my story. So to further her newfoundness of let go and let God, I decide to chug my drink and I throw it against a building that's boarded up and she's in shock. And then she smirks and then chugs her drinks and throws it to the ground. And she goes, God, that feels good. Let's go dancing. So we make our second entrance back at the gay bar, this and that. We dance the night away. She actually buys a round for the actual drag queens that night. And they praise her and thank her for being such a supportive and loving parent. And I will say it was probably one of the most interesting nights I've ever had with my mom to this day. But the next day, she wakes up early to do her makeup. We're going to do some touristy thing, like see the Statue of Liberty or something. And she's sitting there doing her makeup, listening to hymns on her phone with her Bible next to her, acting like last night never happened, not acknowledging the night before. She's a completely different person. It made me so angry at first. Then I thought, I guess my mom was in drag last night, and now she's not, because the extra layer of confidence and self-love and acceptance was just hung up the next morning. So it definitely took off that extra layer. So it kind of felt interesting, and I felt a little pity that she could only find her real true self of letting go and being confident and outgoing and excited around queer gay space, which it always should be that way. But that gay bar is long gone now. It's replaced by a high-rise condo next to a Starbucks. But the memories remain, as well as the potential for my mom fully letting go. So I decided to take on my mom's name, Ona Louise, as my own drag name. And I try to live out my drag and the freedom and self-love my mom can't give herself. And we have a long ways to go and understanding each other and mutual respect. But maybe one day we'll hit the dance floor together. And when we do, neither of us will be in drag and we'll be free to be ourselves. And that is my story, Mother Knows Best. I hope you enjoyed.
Woo! Oh my God. Ona Louise, everybody. Round of applause. That was sincerely so beautiful. And I'm just so, I mean, I promise I wouldn't cry. This isn't waterproof, but like it was sincerely so beautiful to hear that. And I just love stories like that, especially where it's like your mom having this wild night inspiring you. And I sincerely hope that she, you know, gets out of this Minnesota niceness and like, you know, really gets into like some Wisconsin dirtiness. Like I would love that. So once again, round of applause, Ona Louise. So wonderful. So without further ado, we're going to bring up our next storyteller. This person is amazing. They are the curator of Outspoken, which is LGBT stories, and it's based at Sidetrack in Chicago. Oh my goodness. And I have worked with this performer before. She's in a new gig and a new wig, so this is going to be a little bit different tonight, but such an amazing storyteller and such a wonderful, sweet person. So before I continue to talk about you like this is a Tinder date, let's just bring you up to the screen and ask you some questions. So without further ado, let's bring up Victoria Beckham's biggest fan, Posh Rice. Hello, Posh. How are you doing, darling?
Hi, Calvin. How are you tonight?
Oh, doing well. Ooh, is that backless?
Yeah. Just a little strap. I'm so vulnerable.
Oh, kittenish of you. Look at you, Miss Thing. It's after 10 in New York City, so I see what you're trying to do.
Just takes one pull and we're good.
So let's not get inappropriate just yet. I want to ask you some questions first. So the first question is going to be a very general theme of the night, but what inspired you to get into drag for the first time, and how did it go?
You know, the first time I did drag, it wasn't actually my doing. It was my mother. I was like 5 or 6 years old, and there was a fashion show contest at our temple, and she dressed me up as a little girl from the hills of Thailand, and I have no idea why, except that I think she just wanted me to win, and I did win. So mother knows best.
A good story and a callback. You're killing it today. Now, Posh Rice, I know that your alter ego, Archie Jamjan, has a show, Outspoken. And has he allowed you to perform on the stage?
He's never even thought of it, the little pig. No. You know, my drag is not the most professional, so I feel like I would get read down at Sidetrack. I just would not be allowed in the room. I'm kind of a boy in a dress, you know. That's
You are no Chichi Rodriguez, trust me. You're doing great. Oh, it is Pride. I'm making all the gay references.
Yeah.
Priscilla Queen of the Desert is coming up next, so get ready. You think I won't do it? So, well, tell us about like just a funny or memorable moment that you had in drag.
You know, the first time I chose to do drag, it was a storytelling show. It was called Chicago's Biggest Liar. And I did a story about this time that I went to Thailand with my family. We went to a drag show, and my aunt told me that it was more like a cult, and they kidnap little boys, and then they make them become women. And I was just terrified. I remember being at the drag show, and like the drag queen came out into the audience. I just leapt over my family, like, and into my dad's lap, like, to save me, because I thought they would kidnap me. And so I did a story about that, and them actually kidnapping me and turning me into a drag queen. But the crux of the story was that I was a failed drag queen because I wouldn't do the tuck. And so I wore a prosthetic for the show, and I flashed the audience, and we were in a train. And that is just one of the highlights of my life. And I aim to do better or do bigger. I don't know.
Frankly, it sounds like Sidetrack would be into that. I'm not going to lie.
I should propose that. You're right.
I think so. Make it a blockbuster night. Anyways, I'm going to not hold you up anymore. So without further ado, welcome to the storytelling stylings of Posh Rice.
I opened the bathroom cabinet and my sister's beauty supply stood before me. "We'll make you pretty," they seemed to whisper. "My cooling sensation works wonders," said the jar of Noxzema cold cream. "I will tighten your pores," said the St. Ives cucumber face mask. And then the bottle of sun and hair lightener threw down the gauntlet. "I will give you white people hair." I was 11 years old and constantly locking myself in the bathroom for the wrong reason. I just wanted to be pretty. Now, my parents' friends always said that I was handsome and my sister Annie was pretty. But as their eyes moved quickly from me to linger on her, the truth became translucent. On this highway called life, Annie could stop traffic. I would get run over. Annie's beauty allowed her to attend Barbizon, a modeling school in downtown Chicago, attended by 12 rich white girls, a Jewish girl with a new nose, 2 little Black sisters, and a half Latina from Texas who I never saw appear without fringe. On Saturday afternoons, they would practice essential life lessons, like how to walk down a runway and take off a jacket at the same time. And as I sat in the corner, I just seized with envy. See, I had seen George Michael's music video for Freedom, which featured real supermodels walking down a real runway, and I had practiced in our basement, and I knew I could outwalk all them girls. But even at our temple, my sister Annie was the star. When our temple put on a production of Manora, the Thai story of creation, they cast Annie as a lead angel. I had to play a monkey. On the ride home that night, my parents told my sister what a great job she had done. They were so proud of her. And I, like a glum troll, sank deep into the beige leather interior of our Cadillac. I scowled at the moon and stars for placing me in her shadow. My mother looked back at me and said, "Archie, why do you look so sad?" "Oh, that's Archie," my dad started. "He see the moon and the star and he think about science, just like his dad." These people did not know me. These people saw their young Asian son and figured I would be good at things like math and science, the academic roadmaps for ugly people. Yes, I said it, ugly people. I would not be pushed down that road. I would be pretty. And I had a plan. Step 1, lock myself in the bathroom and lather on my sister's Noxzema until its camphor, eucalyptus, and menthol made my face feel like a cough drop. Step 2, apply the St. Ives cucumber face mask evenly and slowly so it came off in one sheath instead of dozens of flakes. Step 3, apply the sun and hair lightener, because in the 90s, nothing made an Asian person look cooler than orange hair. Step 4, imagine Keanu Reeves. In 1991, Keanu Reeves starred in the mega hit blockbuster music video Rush Rush by Paula Abdul. It was a remake of the classic film Rebel Without a Cause, and I often imagined that I was Paula and Keanu was my rebel. But one day, while I was engaged in my beauty routine, a more specific vision came to mind. Cato would pull up to the front of my parents' house with the screech of 2 wheels because that rebel had found his cause, me, posh rice. As I ran out to meet him, my parents would beg me to stay. "Oh, Archie, we were so wrong. You are so much more beautiful and talented than your sister. Please stay." But it was too late. I would hop into the sidecar of Keanu's motorcycle and we would speed up I-94 from Chicago to a romantic and exotic land called Wisconsin. As the wind blew through my bowl cut, I would look up at my rebel and say, "Have you ever been in love before?" And he would say, "No, I have not." And then I would say, "Isn't that terrible?" And then he would pull over to the side of the highway. He got off the motorcycle with one swing of his meaty hind quarter. He walked up to me, looked me in the eye and said, "Terrible? It's not terrible. It just reminds us that we're all alone." But with those words, an epiphany broke out into his face as he realized we were not alone anymore. We had each other. I closed my eyes and puckered my lips. I got ready for my first kiss. The bathroom door swung open. It was Annie. "Are you playing with my beauty products again? What is wrong with you? How many times do I have to tell you? Those things are for girls." I grabbed the jar of Noxzema. "It does not say for girls anywhere on this jar." "It doesn't have to, you little idiot. Do you want to start using my tampons too?" "I will use whatever I want. It is my bathroom too." And I pushed past her. But in those days, my sister was so much stronger. She grabbed me by my t-shirt, flung me into the wall, and then she threw back her claws and threw 3 marks onto the side of my face. Like Nancy Kerrigan after the attack on her knee, I fell to the ground screaming, why, why, why? Not only would these marks forestall my plans for beauty, I would have to explain them to the kids at school, where rumor had it, I might be gay. And that's when I realized I'd had enough. Now, I didn't usually engage in boy activities, but I had been playing a certain video game, Street Fighter 2. And I had become very adept at a certain character, the mistress of the tornado kicks, Mother Puckin Chun-Li. With the video game as inspiration, I rose to my feet and I imagined my sister and I in a dirty alley in China. To her utter confusement, I started bouncing around, and then I pulled back my leg and kicked her in the stomach with a loud "yeah!" She bent over, ran to the bathroom, and threw up. I had won. Or so I thought. After wiping her mouth, my she-beast of a sister did rise from the laboratory and pin me to the ground. Just as she was about to claw 3 marks onto the other side of my face, my mother intervened and saved me. And the next day she took me to Walgreens, where she bought me my own Noxzema, my own face mask, and my own bottle of sun and hair lightener. Why? Because my parents hate uncomfortable conversations, and sometimes it's just easier to go to Walgreens. True. But that day, I learned the price of beauty, that it could sometimes be bloody. Not because in the end, beauty ends up being worth that much, but if you are going to choose to be bad at math and science, you better be pretty. Just ask Keanu Reeves. Thank you.
Woo!
Yay! Yay!
Woo! Oh my gosh. Ugh. Posh Rice, everybody. Round of applause for that. Also, as a bias note, you mentioned Street Fighter 2, and that was everything. So you may not know this, but I am just in a section of my apartment, and I just want to show you guys. Bam, Super Street Fighter 2 and regular Street Fighter 2. Yes, you guys. I own a Super Nintendo. I'm almost 40. That's what happens. You still own cartridges that work. So props to you on that. Love Chun-Li for life. Thank you. You got me together. Loved it. Posh Rice, everybody. Round of applause. So next up to the virtual estage. This lady, okay, first of all, she started off, she has a pedigree from weekly performances at the late iconic Esta Noche. May she rest in peace. She has gone on to do so much. She has curated art. She's been on television. She's done quinceañeras. She's doing stand-up. She coming for my gig, okay? Also, she has been traveling all over. She currently is a regular performer at Drag Queen Story Hour, as well as an educator in residence at the Children's After School Arts Program in the San Francisco United School District. And she's been profiled on NPR. So without further ado, let's welcome Persia. Yeah.
Hello, hello, hello. How's it going?
Hey.
Oh
Nice
my God,
cleavage.
get all the flashbacks, you know. Are you good? Yes, Street Fighter.
Who's your favorite character?
Well, of course, Chun-Li, hello. Every little queer kid's favorite was, I'm generalizing, but from all my queer friends, Chun-Li, hello. That was our queer icon from, Street Fighter, especially back in the day. I'm also, a youthful, late 39-year-old person.
I I knew I liked you. I was like, I feel like we in the same deal.
Yeah, I
And that's
turned
all.
40 on July 6th, so you know. I know. Thank God for this light, because you know the wrinkles kind of flush out.
Girl, please, you don't got nothing.
Lie to me, I love it.
What is your beauty secret, though?
You, you know, I moisturizer, and sunblock. Well, because when I was a teenager, I broke out. Well, I was a vegetarian for such a long time, even though my parents own a meat market in Southern California, so that's how I grew up. I used to be a butcher, believe it or not. And
a butcher.
Pardon?
A butcher. Okay.
I know. You know, hella butch. And so when I became a vegetarian, my parents were like, it was worse than when I came out to them. They're like, what? I can't. Of course, in Spanish, so everything sounds more dramatic. And but then when I went to college, I had a culture shock because I am originally from South Central LA, so I grew up with brown and black folk. I go to college and there's all these white people, and I was like, what happened? I was like, I no entiendo, no sé. And my first comfort, because my dad just left me. He's like, okay, you're on your own. You wanted to come to college? Then fuck you. Go to college, bitch. And the only thing that gave me comfort were tacos, of course, so I turned to food. And so then I went from not eating meat to eating lots of meat, and I broke out like crazy. Oh. And so then, since my late teenage years, I've been very meticulous about my regimen.
Oh my God, this is a journey. Damn. What did you major in college?
In art and education. I used to take pictures of drag queens, believe it or not. And then when I moved to San Francisco, because I got into this photography program in 2005, I came up here and then I sort of fell out of love with photography. And since I had been loving and, drag queens for so long, and that's actually what got me to this program, I sort of fell into it. And so then I got addicted, and it's been 13 years? But yes.
Wow. So wait, so how long have you been involved with Drag Queen Story Hour then?
So, like Una said earlier, yes, the program started 6 years ago. And because I also work at a children's after school arts program, I'm constantly putting things on Facebook or, on social media, like little stories that happen that are really funny. They're, the kids being ridiculous, or they're calling me out. Here I am thinking I look cute and stuff, showing up in full face to work. And I'm like, yes, I have a gig after this. I have to go to work after work, and looking all hot. And they're like, so you're going to change, right? You're going to And so I would put a whole bunch of those kinds of experiences online. And then when the program began, they were like, hey girl, you already work with children and you do drag. Would you like to do Drag Queen Story Hour? And so then I was like, sure. And that's sort of how I outed myself to the family. Because as queer people, we have to constantly be, coming out. It's so fucking exhausting. Yes, so that's how I came out to the parents. And, I always say I'm the luckiest drag queen in the world, because everyone's overall, 90%, has been very welcoming and, very nurturing towards me. And so I'm very blessed in that way and in other ways.
That's so amazing. And so I'm always curious, because I know a little bit about Drag Queen Story Hour, but have you ever dressed up as any characters from the stories, or do you just do just your drag persona?
Yeah, it's just me. And the way I tell the kids is this is the persona, when I'm not doing Zooms or, doing Drag Queen Story Hour, I'm not dressed like this, And so, yes, it's about, putting on a character and bringing that character to life. And so what I tell my students, it's, it doesn't matter what you identify. That's not the important part. The important part is that you have a vision of bringing this character to life, and that's what drag allows you to do. It's bring this character to life and give it to the audience, and that's really what, like, simplified, that's pretty much what drag is. It's like, creating a character and then just giving it to the people. And so, yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, so to answer your question, no.
I went so off the rails with the questions.
Of course, I don't show up to work, and face like with my tits out. Of course not. And if I was going with the kids, I'd be like this,
I see, you're gonna be more Miss Doubtfire, not gonna be out.
Yeah, so this is during the day with the kids, and this is at night for the big children.
I'm always so curious. Have you ever been doing so well? Like, because sometimes drag queens, they'd be like, yes, and throw dollars at you. But like, have kids ever like thrown their lunch money at you? Like, you ever been doing that well?
No, well, see, you know what? It's a lot of work to be a queen who reads to children, especially right now during like this whole weirdness of the pandemic. Because I always say that even though Drag Queen Story Hour is my favorite thing to do in the whole entire world, it's also the toughest like job to do, because as a performer, if you're like a drag queen at the bar and you're like, yeah, bitches, blah, it's fine. They're drunk, they're whatever. You will say something and something will spark, and anyway, it's fine. But if you lose the audience of toddlers, you're fucked. Like there's no turning back. And like I always say, I'm like, RuPaul needs to be doing some fucking Drag Queen Story Hour bullshit to see how these queens can handle a real audience, because this right here, it's cute and all, but like, give me a queen that can like really keep a little 2-year-old, 3-year-old, and not just one or two, a whole room full of them attention. It's really hard. And so, all the queens that do Drag Queen Story Hour, please support them. Go on the social media, go on Instagrams, Drag Queen Story Hour Instagram and their Facebook, and tip us, because it's hard. It's hard. But also it's lovely and so rewarding. So, you do what you do.
This is amazing, and let me shut up because I got to reapply my own lipstick. So without further ado, we're going to have Persia tell her story.
I will put my alarm because I won't shut up otherwise. Yes. My name is Persia or Persia, either one works. I'm coming to you live from San Francisco. And yes, that is me. So I have all these stories, and I always say that like, I'm not funny because I really am not, but my life is, because there's all these crazy stories that happen. People call me, one of my nicknames in the city here in San Francisco is Transportation Spice, because I only hook up with people on the bus. I know. But that's a whole different that's a whole entire show. Different show, sorry. That's gonna be for my one-person show called I'm Not Funny, But My Life Is. But anyway, today I'm gonna talk to you about coming out constantly. And like I said earlier, it is so exhausting, coming out to my parents as a queer person, coming out to my students as a queer person, and then coming out as a drag performer, and then blah, 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 blah. So about 6 years ago, I went through this horrible breakup. I was with my partner for almost 15 years. I know, can you imagine freaking being 30 in your mid-30s and trying to navigate singleness? Like, I was like, what is this Tinder? What is this Scrub? What is this Grindr? Anyway, I learned really quickly anyway. But again, that's another story. And so after that horrible breakup, I went home to my parents, and my mom had never seen me this way. I was a mess, because it had been 15 years. And so, And my mom was just like, what is wrong with you? And then I finally told her, because we've always had a great relationship, but we were never close when it came to like my queer life. Like she knew I did artsy things, but she never knew what kind. And so then after like I had a one-on-one with her and I was like, look, I broke up with this person and this is what happened and da 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 da. And so then from that moment on, my mom and I became really, really close. And so a few months after that, I was approached by KQED. They're like, hey, we want to do a profile on you. And I was like, oh yes, I'm not just a stupid ass drag queen. And so I was like, okay, perfect. And then I got the idea. I was like, this is the perfect opportunity for me to sort of like come out to my mom and that, you know, I'm just not a pretty, you know, hot mess of a drag queen, but, you know, I'm doing things, you know, I'm doing things with my persona. And so, so the following summer, you know, they filmed part of my interview here in San Francisco at Club Oasis here in Soma. And then I was like, okay, the next day I was flying to LA and I was gonna like come out to my mother. And I was so scared because even though she's 4'2" Mexican lady, she can still kick my ass. I'm like 6 feet tall, but she's like, no pienses porque estoy chaparra, no te parto la madre. Translation, I am a cute petite 4 foot tall Mexican woman, but don't think I won't kick your motherfucking ass. So anyway, of course that's not the real translation, but you get it. So, so I have 2 younger sisters. The middle one, she was at work, and then the little one was with me, and I was like, oh my God, Talia, I don't know, I'm really scared, but I have to do it. I have to, like, I've been doing drag at that moment. It had been almost 10 years. And I was like, I've been doing drag for so long. Like, I can't be lying to my mother of all people. My dad, we have a complicated relationship, but it's fine. But my mom, not my mom. Like, it's my mom. And so then, you know, it's a Sunday, I remember, and I was like shaking. And I was like, get tienes. She's like, what's wrong with you? And I was like, nothing, nada. And so then we go to the computer and I was like, well, can I tell you, I want to tell you something. She's like, okay. She sits down at the desk and I am so scared. I'm like shaking and my sister's like, stupid ass, and slaps me. Just do it. So I'm like, okay. So, you know, hi, I work with the children and my mom's like, yes. Well, you know, I also do artsy fartsy things. And she's like, yes. But you know exactly what kind of artsy fartsy things. But she's like, well, don't you take pictures? And I was like, well, I used to, but I'm not anymore. Now I'm in front of the camera. She's like, okay. And then, so then I start going through like, you know, my body of work. And I was like, look, I was in also this, shame. Anyway, I'm going to stop there. Never mind. Anyway, so then I go and I tell her, look, my friends and I did this music video that went viral. It was about gentrification here in San Francisco. It's called Google Apps. I showed her that. And then I, even though I'm not a singer, whatever, I do what I want. And then I kept showing her pictures and more videos. And I was like, oh, I've done this. I host, my friend Emcee and myself, we host the main stage on Saturday for Gay Pride in San Francisco. And I'm like giving her like the whole resume, you know, I'm selling myself like, you know, this job depends on my life. Well, kind of, other, because anyway, so I was like, if I don't sell it right, I don't know if the outcome's gonna be okay. So anyway, so my mom's watching everything and I keep going and my sister's staring next to me and she's like, and there's like silence, like there's nothing. She says nothing. And I was like, okay, let me show you this one. Nothing. And I start freaking out and I'm like, oh my God, my blood pressure. And I was like, oh shit. And then I was like, finally, I was like, okay, tell me something. You're not saying anything. You're freaking me out. What? And then she turns to me. She's like, pues, si los estudiantes te respetan, y te adoran, y también sus papás, pues te respeto y te apoyo. So what you said, like she turned the chair and she's like, you know, if the kids and parents love you and respect you for what you do, then I support you all the way. And I was like, oh. And then she turns back to the computer and she starts scrolling. And I was like, okay, what? And then she turns back. Pero te tengo que decir algo. And she saw, but I have to tell you something. And I was like, what? If you really want to be a drag queen, you need a bigger tits and bigger ass. And I was like, what? But she said it in Spanish. It's like, si quieres ser una transvesti, necesitas más chichis y más nalgas. ¿Qué es esto? ¿Qué es esto? So she's like yelling at me because, you know, my padding is not like, you know, all voluptuous and shit. So she's like bitching at me that I have no body. And she's like, well, you've always had the boobs since you were 15, but like, you need to stop those motherfuckers. And your ass, where is your ass? You have no ass. Your extended back? Come on, you're a drag queen. And I was like, oh my God. She's like, wait. And my sister and I were like, she's like, I'll be right back. And she gets out of her chair. And my sister and I are like, what the fuck is going on? What is going on? I don't understand. And she's like, and she brings these underwear, these padded underwear. She's all, you know, flat asses run in her family. So the lady at the swap meet sold me these underwear with all this padding. And you know what? I'm not a performer and I've been with your dad for ages. So I really don't need this. But you, on the other hand, you might need 2 or 3 or 4 to fill that up. And so she just throws the fucking underwear at me. And my sister and I start cracking up. It was seriously one of the most amazing experiences with my mother ever. She's so funny. She doesn't understand how funny she is, but she really is. And from that moment on, you know, I send her pictures. Like after this, I'm gonna take a picture of me if I'm not too sweaty, and I'm gonna send it to her. And she always has something to say. If she doesn't like something like this, she's not gonna like it. She's all like, tus pinches chiches están de fuera. And she's gonna be like, you know, being a mother. So I'm really lucky that my mother has been really supportive. And, you know, right before the pandemic, I was in this show called Translating Selena, and I played a drag queen. Oh, look, right on time. I played a drag queen, not much of a stretch. And she came in and she saw me, and that was the first time she had ever seen me in face and performing. It was really emotional. And even now I'm like holding the tears, but it's okay because I'm not gonna cry. But it was a really important moment for me, and not just for me, but like, you know, telling the story to other folks. It's, you know, it's awesome because, you know, I've seen other drag queens with their parents being so supportive, and it's so beautiful, you know, that I've always wondered what that would be. And finally, I have that with my mother, not my dad. That's a whole different animal that I don't know when I'm gonna tackle that. But for now, I have my mom's, you know, approval, and it's crazy to, you know, seeking that approval of the parent can drive you insane. I mean, that's why I've been in therapy for almost a year, but but yeah. So anyway, like I always say, I'm not funny, but my life sure is. Catch me on the internet. Hi. Bye. Adios.
Woo! Oh my God, that was so lovely. Another huge round of applause again. That was, I mean, I feel like it's always so important, especially during Pride. It's so wonderful to hear stories of like acceptance, and I love that it was both acceptance and a read at the same time. Not saying your ass is too flat. Oh no. But helpful advice is the best kind of advice. So thank you so much for sharing your story. That was so beautiful, and again, very happy Pride. It's just so lovely to hear that. Now, sadly, we are down to our last storyteller. And also, I've been effing up because, unlike Claire, I should have been like, are you guys drinking? Because you guys should get a drink. I mean, unless you have liver problems. But, whatever. Have some wine. It doesn't matter. I see you, Ona. Yeah, I see. Persia literally got up out of her seat to run and get a drink right now. But yeah, seriously, make yourself a daiquiri, get you a full bottle of Espolón, apparently. Do what you gotta do. Anyway, I'm not saying you need to drink for this last performer, because this performer you can enjoy in any state. I've worked with this person so many times, but this is a different persona tonight that I've worked with. So this authoress is a lovely lady. She is the worst-selling authoress of self-help pamphlets, books that took too long to write, such as COVID Sex Tips for the Pandemic Prostitute Who Knows, and How to Look Old at Any Age. You are going to love this lady. She has a veil of charisma about her. Please, without further ado, let's welcome COVID Cassandra.
Hello, my darling Calvin. Oh, you are so chic tonight.
You are chicer. Look at you. It's like
Well,
Legally
this is the look
Blonde
I've
for
been
cold
living
people.
with since I was a child. What did you say, dear?
I said it's like Legally Blonde, but for cold people. I love it. Because it's like, that's
Yes, a
still
little
pink.
Valentina.
Mm-hmm. Would you like to keep it on, please?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, I have to ask, what inspired you to dress up in drag for the first time?
Oh my God, because girls have more fun. I thought they've got so many more options than boys. I just thought it was cruel that we had to, we only could wear those action pants of my youth. And my mother, I was a redhead as a little boy. My mother said redheads can't wear red, and I loved red, as you can see. And so there was my girlfriend down the street, Jackie, a fat girl, I must tell you, and she had a red dress in her playhouse, and I wore that red dress, and that was the first thing I wore, and I looked fabulous. So it was my mother's fault. That's why, like all drag queens, it's the mother.
I was gonna say,
starts with the mother.
It really does. It's crazy. So I have to ask. Now, I'm more familiar with your counterpart, Jamie Brickhouse, who has performed all over, performs nationally and internationally. Would you say that you're a better storyteller than Jamie?
Oh, absolutely. The problem with Jamie is that he tells the truth, and I tell what ought to be the truth, which is far more entertaining. So yes, you better stick with COVID, Cassandra.
What's the biggest lie you've told?
That I'm verse.
Oh, I am very familiar with that
say
lie.
whatever you say whatever you need to say to close the deal. And then explain
now,
later.
We will be explaining soon after class. Now, I have to ask you, as you know, things are opening up, and people are starting to get a little bit freer. People are getting vaccinated. So now that the pandemic is near, what's next on the horizon for COVID, Cassandra?
Well, before I'm a as you mentioned in my bio, I'm a worst-selling authoress of pamphlets of self-help pamphlets, and so I'm working on a new pamphlet, for everyone's re-entry into the world and how to socialize and be with people again, and it's called How to Offend Anyone and Make Enemies, and then I've also got a shopping guide, which is for the girl on the go, which is how to find a bargain and blow the man around the corner and never lose a minute. So Those are just a few of the things I've got on the horizon.
I love this. I also love these like long titles. I feel like that should be the new thing. I'm tired of these short
Actually,
titles.
you're right. You know why the titles are so long? Because that's all there is to it. That's the entire pamphlet. There's not even bullet points inside.
Yeah,
and there's no and much more.
Yeah, don't even do it. Just stick in some colons. People love it.
There's one bullet point, and it's called, and that's it.
All right, I won't take up any more of your time. So you guys, without further ado, here's the storytelling stylings of COVID Cassandra.
Thank you, Calvin. Well, am I on yet? Because there's a delay here. Oh, there I am. Well, before I was a worst-selling authoress of pamphlets, I was a TV star. And, well, I'm about to shoot what I know is going to be my Emmy award-winning scene of my hot new TV show, My Husband, the Lawnmower. And a little background. So the show is in its first season, and we are already beating out the other hot shows that are tops in the ratings, which is the Real Housewives of Hackensack, New Jersey, and the reboot of Alf. And I have to tell you, I'm so thrilled by my newfound stardom because I just never thought it would happen. I was discovered. This is how the show happened. I, back in the day, you know how women used to sell cars at car trade shows? They would always bring in beautiful models to talk about the cars. Well, it was the same for riding lawnmowers. And I was a riding lawnmower model, but I was the only one who was in a veil. And so I stood out right away. And I've worn a veil my whole life. You know, I was named after Cassandra, of Greek mythology, who was cursed to tell the truth and no one would believe her. And my mother, I was named actually after my mother, but my mother didn't like the idea of Cassandra Jr. And so she wanted a name in front of that. And I was a misshapen baby. I was ovoid in shape, but she just didn't like ovoid Cassandra. And she wanted something alliterative. So she called me COVID Cassandra. And she said, the name has meaning. You don't understand it now, but it means that there will be a life-threatening global disease and the whole world will be dressing like you. And I told everyone as I was growing up that this was the case, but they wouldn't believe me. Again, the curse of Cassandra. But anyway, so I'm in my veil and in my blonde hairdo, and I am caressing that riding lawnmower, and I'm grinding on the steering wheel, and I know how to work that dipstick, and I am selling so many riding lawnmowers for this company. In fact, it started a whole new wave in lawn care. Well, I was lucky enough. So some TV executives from USA TV Network, one of the shittiest networks around, they had heard about this COVID Cassandra that was setting the riding lawnmower world on fire. And they came over and saw me in action, and they said, my God, the way she rides that mower and caresses it, it's like she's making love to it. And so I just right on the spot, I pitched them on my idea. And I said, well, what about doing a TV show called My Lover, the Lawnmower? And they said, you know, kid, I think you've got something. And they had a hole in their fall lineup because they were about to do a reboot of My Mother, the Car and Knight Rider, but both of those fell through. And they said, we need something, and we need something fast, and we like this. And I said, great, I want to do it, and I'm your gal. And they said, I'm just not sure that America is ready to see a veiled woman on a riding lawnmower. And I said, oh, just give me a chance. And they said, okay, but it's got to be more family oriented. So it can't be your lover, the lawnmower. Let's make it your husband, the lawnmower, my husband, the lawnmower. I said, oh, it's fabulous. So here was the situation of the show, is that my husband who loved me deeply, But he also loved mowing my lawn and trimming my bushes and whacking my weeds. He was obsessed with all of that. And one day he was on the riding mower and he was just finishing. And our lawn, by the way, was the envy of all the lawns of all the neighbors in our little small town of Cunty Corners. And everyone came from all over just to see how beautiful our lawn was. And so my husband was on the mower, as he did every week, and he had a massive heart attack and died. Well, he's reincarnated as that riding mower. But of course, I'm the only one who knows this. And everyone comes around and says they're so sad that my husband is dead. And so I start mowing everybody else's lawn because I no one does it better than I do. So in each episode, COVID Cassandra goes and mows a different neighbor's lawn and then solves their problems while she's doing it. But the magic of the show and what everyone why the neighbors were so enthralled is because they knew that there was something magical about the lawnmower. They didn't know it was my husband. And I would go and mow their lawn, but my husband would actually mow the lawn. So he would do the riding mower would ride solo. And then I would go inside and solve the neighbor's problems, easy problems. Like there was one episode where there was a family and they were waiting for their vegetative grandmother to die because she had all this money and no one had the guts to pull the plug. Well, Cassandra to the rescue. So I unplugged it and grandma gone. Oh, that episode was groundbreaking because that started a whole rash of grandma killing. And then, of course, they had a beautiful lawn. And then the next episode, there was an entire family with a terrible bladder control problem. And Cassandra to the rescue. She got on the hotline to Depends Undergarments and got them all Depends in their own signs. Problem solved. Beautiful lawn. And that at the end of each episode, Cassandra would ride away on her husband, the lawnmower, and pat him on the back gently, like another problem solved. And then we would go into the tool shed, and the door would shut, and then you would hear the lawnmower, and you knew what that meant. You knew that Cassandra and her husband were having a little hanky-panky and renewing their marriage, and then roll credits. Well, I said, okay, this is great. We've got this hit show. We're beating out the Real Housewives of Hackensack. No one's done that to date. Let's do something, different and exciting. And I said, the whole reason that you got me on this show is because of the way that I could make love to a lawnmower and sell it. So I want, at the end of this next episode, I want to have sex with my husband, the lawnmower, on TV. And I want to do it on our lawn. And I want the show to be live, not taped. And so they fought me on it. And they said, Cassandra, I don't know. I don't know if America is ready for this. I don't know if our sponsors are ready for this. I said, take a risk. Take a risk. Why do you think we're number one in the ratings right now? And they listened to me and they took a risk and we filmed the show live. And so I had just solved the neighbors' problems. I know they wanted me to redecorate their house. Well, it was hopeless. So and I smoked on the show. It was a different time. So I just put my cigarette out on their curtains. The whole house went up in flames while they were outside watching my husband mow their lawn. And I got them a huge insurance settlement and, problem solved. So after that, I get on the mower on my husband and we ride over to my lawn. And I said, honey, I want you so bad. And he starts riding up and down, back and forth. And I start grinding on that thing. And I am riding his dipstick and I am writhing up and down like this. And then I start grinding myself onto the steering wheel of the riding mower. And we're doing donuts in my front yard. And we are ruining our beautiful lawn. But I don't give a damn. It feels so good. And I am, and I have a genuine orgasm on live TV. And then they stop. Well, they flip out. the sponsors slip out. Our 3 top sponsors, John Deere, Virginia Slim Cigarettes, it was a different time, and Depend on Undergarments, all pull out of my husband, the lawnmower. And the show is canceled. America just wasn't ready. And I was devastated. And I couldn't get work after that. No one would have me. I couldn't even get a job as an extra on the reboot of Charlie's Angels. I tried to get on to some reruns of The Love Boat, because sometimes they brought on extras for the rerun of The Love Boat. Nothing. My career was over, and that's what led me to writing pamphlets. But you know what? Do I regret it? No. Would I do it again? You better believe it. You know why? Because I was a pioneer. I made TV history, because to date, mine was the first and only live television orgasm. And I know it was the only one with a lawnmower. And I'm proud of that. And you know what? I got to keep the lawnmower. And you better believe it's still doing the trick. Thank you.
Woo!
True story. True story. Google it on YouTube. You'll find some of those clips.
I think you mean Pornhub, but thank you very much. COVID Cassandra, everybody. Round of applause. Combining landscaping and manscaping. I love it. Fun for the whole family. Well, sadly, we have reached the end of the show, but we're going to bring back all of our performers one by one so that you can all thank them and gaze upon their lovely visages and give them all the adoration that they need. So coming up first, we're going to give a round of applause and welcome back Ona Louise. Round of applause. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And what do you have coming down the pipeline? What's coming up for you next?
Oh, girl, you should check our calendar of events for Drag Queen Story Hour, because we are doing virtual and live events all the rest of the month. So check us out online.
Sweet.
Yes.
And now let's bring back Posh Rice, everybody. Oh, or Persia's back now. We're not going to do Wrath of Khan style. So, Posh Rice, would you like to say what's coming up next in the pipeline?
Outspoken goes back live in July. So if you're in Chicago, come to Sidetrack, July 6th, the first Tuesday of the month, and we shall entertain you and move you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, Persia, now you're up. Sorry. Oh.
There we go.
Okay.
That's my birthday. July 6th is I'm officially 40. But anyway, July 3rd, I'm celebrating my 40th birthday here in San Francisco. Downstairs from my house. So if you're in the Bay Area, you should come. Just El Rio here in the Mission, outer Mission kind of Mission area. Anyway, I mean, that's it. And of course, I do lots of Drag Queen Story Hour. So definitely check us out on Instagram, on Facebook. And there's like the general Drag Queen Story Hour, but there's also like regional ones. So if you're in the Bay Area, you can, go to the Bay Area Drag Queen Story Hour chapter, or if you're in the East Coast, you can do like the New York, or wherever you're located, you can go and like find your little chapter. This is that's a beauty of Drag Queen Story Hour right now, that it's international. And so if depending where you are, you can just find. But yes, I'll be celebrating my 40th on July 3rd here in San Francisco. So I don't know. I'm going to remember anything, but it's okay because you only turn 40 once, right? So Brett me because I need new hair and some Botox and stuff.
Also, happy birthday. Also, this is tangentially related. My birthday actually just passed, so I just turned an age 30. So I did that. I went strawberry picking, so it was great. Anyways, thank you so much. We're gonna bring back COVID Cassandra / Jamie Brickhouse. What's going on?
Hello.
What's up on your
Well, COVID Cassandra was actually born on Head of Lettuce, drag queen Head of Lettuce's show. She did a live Instagram show on Sundays during COVID, and but she's back in New York where I live, and we're gonna film some more Head of Cassandra stuff. So be on the lookout for that. And Jamie is doing his solo show, I Favor My Daddy, in Cherry Grove, Fire Island. So if any of you bitches are in Fire Island on August 7th, I'm doing it then. And my memoir, which is also a solo show called Dangerous and Wet, Booze, Sex, and My Mother, is, I know we can't get away from the mothers. That is available as an ebook on Amazon. Well, a regular book too, but ebook is the easiest way, or an audio book narrated by me. It delivers on the subtitle. There's lots of booze, sex. Sure.
Nice. Also, come on, voice acting. Look at that. Okay, so we're gonna bring back the producer, the person who brought this all together, the person with the most Party City LGBTQ charm. Please welcome back Regina Stoops.
Yay, thank you. Thank you, all of you ladies. That was fabulous. I don't know if this was a Pride show or a Mother's Day show, but it all wrapped up together. It all worked. That was great. That was wonderful. Calvin, wonderful to you too. Hey, so we have some stuff coming up here at 6 Feet Apart Productions, of course. We have our next show, which is going to be an open mic StorySLAM. And there it is. It's going to happen on July 14th. So if you feel like you want to tell a story, throw your name in the hat in the ring. The theme for that one is rebellion. So get a good story about rebellious behavior. I'm sure you all have a few, and join us on the 14th. Also want to plug a little bit of our swag. Remember the COVID times with some 6 Feet Apart production swag, shirts, mugs, etc., etc. So 10 years from now, when you're wearing that and people say, what does that mean? You can say way back in the day and talk about COVID and COVID Cassandra. So thank you. And now I want to bring back our wonderful MC, Calvin Cato. Calvin, you just crushed it tonight. Girl, thank you so much for the energy. Yeah, no, that was super great. It was I love working with you. Wonderful to have you on our show again. And what do you got? You have like 7 more shows before midnight, don't you?
A girl do be working. I do have some stuff coming up. So this Sunday, I'll be doing this virtual show, Black and Proud, which is showcasing all specifically queer Black comedians. So if you're free, it's on Facebook Live. Feel free to check that out. And then I'm doing a show. This is highly doubtful. If anyone's in South Salem, New York, they're holding their first Pride. So I'll be doing a Pride show for them, which will be really exciting for that. Like whole region's like very happy to have a Pride event there. So that'll be really cool. And I just contributed to a book, Queendom, which is all about like queer comedic writers sharing stories of coming out and family. And that's out on Amazon right now. So if you want, feel free to buy that book. And all the proceeds are going to immigration equality. So it would be really lovely to help the charity and everything. And that's it.
And Jamie Brickhouse is in that one too.
Yes, he is. I know that's right.
All right. That's great. Well, thank you, Calvin. Thank you all. You know, everybody, please support these artists and these storytellers, audience members. Go check out their books, go to their shows, Drag Queen Story Hour. Take a look at that. They've got a lot of good stuff. They're working hard for the money. So please support them. They're doing great stuff. I want to give a big thank you, shout out. And by the way, Calvin, if you can make it in South Salem, you've made it anywhere. I just want to tell you that. So you've hit it. You're done. You're pinnacle. I want to bring back our backstage audience, if we can, and a big thank you to the backstage audience, everybody. Yeah, We love to have you. It's virtual, but we love your energy. So thank you very much. It's always nice to have some faces, even if they're in the little boxes. And a big thank you as well to our YouTube. Thank you, YouTube. Thanks for being there, watching the live stream, putting stuff in the chat, some great comments. Thank you so much. And thank you everyone who came. Happy Pride. We only have like 11 more days. Hang in there. You can do it. Stay proud till the end of the month. And thank you very much. Thanks for coming. See you in July. Drive safe, everybody. Have a drink. Don't drive and drink.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
6 feet apart, 6 feet apart. It's the newest thing to do. Stay 6 feet apart, 6 feet apart. The distance between me and you. 6 feet apart, 6 feet apart. And when I say I'll keep you very close to my heart, it's purely metaphorical. These times are quite historical. So step aside, let's live our lives 6 feet apart.